Hello, everybody, and welcome to some WARNO League Division 4 and 3 playoff action. As we have a quarterfinal from Division 4 and a semifinal from Division 3 coming up. And this is the last quarterfinal that we still have to cover. MagicYang versus Sontir. Winner has to play Zugrex, which was the first quarterfinal we covered, so uh, Division 4 was first and last year with the quarterfinals. And yeah, we have on the left side here Sontir, whose PC did die, so that's why we had this delay. But they are back online now, and they come in with 11 fake half. And on the right side, we have MagicYang bringing around 20 of Panzerna. And this should be an interesting matchup as we have a big blob here coming up, don't we?
Yeah, this is what we're seeing here from the 20th Polish tank division. MagicYang is basically a double convoy. Convoy is something I describe it when you just get a bunch of vehicles and you tell them to move into a position on the road. You don't tell them to move into positions, but just to stay on the road so that they can be microed and that their overwhelming firepower, speed, momentum, mass, whatever, can actually like take the enemy opener out, so to speak. And the unit choices here are very telling. We have 6 T-72s with the MD leaders, the cheaper leaders, as well as the T-72Ms, the quite cheap ones. And these ones will have their autoloaders, but they won't have enough armor or weaponry to actually fight or challenge the M1A1s in 11th Horse. And thus, basically, the convoy strategy is about then engaging en masse against singular enemy units. And if you're going to do that against the division, doing it against 11th Horse is a decent idea, considering that 11th Horse does lack a lot of like medium level stuff. They don't have the ability to gain tempo if they fail to gain it early game. Their key units, their Bradley recon vehicles, their recon Abrams, and even the main battle tanks, and even a lot of the infantry, is just expensive. And so the Polish traditionally the Polish or this season we have seen the Polish tank div has been the best aggro tank div, and 11th Horse used to be the same thing but with completely different tools. They have their special forces recon infantry LRS, but they generally have to rely on helicopters and aircraft, as well as a small group of very high-tech mechanized units. And I think that MagicYang is going to start this out either into a complete catastrophe, but likely into a pretty decent opener. The weapons that could counter this convoy would be the Kiowa Warrior with the Hellfire missiles, as well as the excellent recon. There is not that much anti-tank missiles. There are Milan 2s, which are very good against the T-72s, and the Bradleys, of course, carry their own weaponry. But in general, MagicYang's is putting all of the eggs into the one basket and is throwing the basket against the enemy's head.
Yeah, a lot of forces here pushing through the south. Boris and Fedor under attack. We only have one M1A1 Abrams here for Sontir, and that one needs to be microed. You want to keep it at distance. It is faster, and it is having a range advantage over the T-72, so you can kite them, but obviously eventually you will run out of space to run. So that's going to be interesting. The Milan 2s and the Bradleys have to do kind of the same thing. And yeah, we have a quick fix jammer coming around here, trying to figure out the situation, figure out what is coming. No Kiowa Warrior, which is a bit surprising to me. Like, trying to shoot down the honkers and kill them off before they can unload is usually something that we see quite often in divisions that have the Kiowa, stopping that fast recon rush, which is so powerful. But also by now, at least decently pricey. So if you kill them, killing off 80 points here with the units inside, or at least 35 point with Honkaroos, could be quite big, because otherwise the Honkers can beat your LRS quite quickly. Ooh, quick fix there. Getting a bit too close to the Honker as well. will take some damage. Disengaging back, and the next M1A1 is bought just as the next T-72 is coming in as well.
Yeah, I was looking that Sontir's deployment was quite defensive as far as 11th horse deployments go. There's no Kiowa warrior, there's an Eyehawk, there's a bunch of infantry and very small amount of actually mobile tank units. And I think Sontir is kind of recognizing what's coming here and recognizing that with a group of like 4 to 5 M1A1s, he will conquer. That this matchup, the whole Polish division, can be made obsolete with a strong enough force of Abramses. So we're seeing these deployments be very standard for Sontir, where you would expect 11th horse to achieve early breakthroughs. And as you said, we're not seeing the ACAVs, we're not seeing the very good aggro recon units. And M1A1 leader taking out the Honkaroos there. Only 2 honkers, which is quite little for 20th. But of course, with this tactic, there's no use in putting resources anywhere outside the convoys.
Yeah, the second honker is killing off the scout, and the Bradley there has to be careful. Maybe overstepping already with the T-72s rushing down. M1A1 here needs to be microed. We have a Cyanide on the battlefield. We have another M1A1 coming up. The Cyanide is not great though. The Shilka has the same range as the Cyanide's TOW-2 missile. Bradley there already starts to get overwhelmed, and the M1A1 shouldn't push forward. It should try to keep the long-range fights. It is pushing forward through the tree line right now, but you don't want to have it as a short-range fighter. Same goes with the Milan there, and Sontir maybe overstepping here. Like, not maybe, overstepping here for sure. The dismounted troopers there pushing up north, and the M1 gets in, gets the first shot in at least, but will now get shot back. Does actually do decently well there without getting hit, but doesn't get a second shot out. Whilst engineers have been scouted in the south by the BRM1. M1 takes out one ZSU, S-22 coming in. Eyehawk is in position, Cyanide can't do much. Oh, but the leader tank goes down. Doesn't get microed there against the Su-22. The Su-22 goes down, and if with a bit of micro to the side, the M1A1 could have survived that hit. It is beefy enough that it can survive a frontal hit from those Su-22s. But yeah, the M1 micro here is not great, and the push through currently is just waltzing through. M1A1 number 2 here going down, 2 ATGM fire, 2 gunfire as well. Eyehawk gets overrun, and this might be game already.
Yeah, this is about as well as the all-in could have gone. The like a little detail here is that instead of doing one single big tank convoy, which is what people often do when they wanna end the game early, they just do a simple all-in and see where it goes. But here we saw a twin-pronged all-in, and the twin-pronging here means that because of the numbers advantage for MagicYang in every case, the Sontir needs to do twice the micro. They need to micro against both of these blobs with the superior firepower, and that just did not happen here. Just too much stuff going on. The recon, BWR radar recon combined with the Shilka's firepower against infantry, combined with the T-72s being able to suppress even the better enemy tanks on long range, and there is an inherent counter in WARNO since the early access for blobbing, which is the fact that units will take stress damage and sometimes even real damage if they are close enough to other units. So back in the day, like T-72 and T-55 spamming used to be the actual meta. You would just do that. 10v10 was just people sending these blobs against each other, and then suddenly ATGM started getting AoE, and all of those units would slowly get attritioned away because they would lose so much of their capacity and mobility. But here, with MagicYang, is playing a deck, at least a portion of a deck, specifically designed for this attack, and has their stuff up-vetted. And if they're up-vetted well enough, and if the numbers advantage is good enough, even like the BWRs opening fire against the Abramses can mean pretty much about the Abrams losing most of its rate of fire. And now we're seeing what's likely going to be either the victorious or the last counterattack of the game. Sontir is in very close range positions with soon to be 3 M1A1s, no air support, no air coverage even outside of the iHawk, and with only dismounted troopers, BGS Strifer, and a Polar Milan 2. And these close ranges here, the only unit actually capable of fighting engaging here is the dismounted troopers with the AT4 rocket launchers being quite decent. At least they can push away 1 or 2 T-72s. The Milan 2 is going to be in a bad position, and the Abramses are going to be at way more risk than if they were engaging along ranges.
Yeah, that's the real issue, and that's, I think, the big misplay of Sontir throughout this series. Against the first T-72 throughout this game so far, is that the M1A1s just were completely mispositioned for this matchup. Like, they are not the prowlers in this matchup. They are supposed to just absolutely kite the enemy through the whole map, use their superior mobility, use their superior gun range and capabilities to really fight the long-range fights, where the T-72 deals little damage, but they still deal pretty good damage back. But if you push close enough, the T-72 starts to two-shot you as well. But you can't get close enough to one-shot them, so the situation is pretty similar for both sides in these short-range fights. At least the first T-72 here goes down. The leader goes down as well. So only 2 remaining, both damaged, but the M1A1s are pretty damaged as well. Need resupply there, and we have MI2s killing off the Bradleys. We have the town being under control. We have a +6 on this map, which is just a really fast raid. M1A1 number 3 now low on hit points as well. Gets the next T-72M killed, but that next engagement likely not going as well. Well, it actually does the job there. Salamandras stunning it down. F-16 might be able to come around for that, but the next 2 T-72s already on the way here, because you nearly get 2 of these T-72Ms for the price of an M1A1. Not quite, but it is getting pretty close, and that's the real issue here, that yes, sure, you, in a 1v1 fight, your M1A1 will win, but you won't fight them 1v1.
Yeah, and currently there is no repair, there's also no infantry corner. M1A1s, and here we can see second shot taking out a BWR, getting a side shot there against the wounded Abrams. And now on these close ranges, on the maximum ranges, the T-55s and T-72s would basically not be able to do anything. The M1 Abrams even has the range advantage, as you said, and the stabilizers, they can just reverse and keep firing if they want to. And having exactly these engagements here are what Abramses should never do. Having tanks deep in the forests, having them acting without a recon support. A recon unit could have spotted the flankers and saved the Abrams. The recon could stand around and keep tabs on the enemies so that Sontir could understand what angle of attack would allow them to get the best results. So if you're looking at the current situation here, the area where the Stinger is currently, there are little forests there. That, for instance, could have been a place for the T-72 M1 Abramses to go and be able to engage a lot of long-range foes and apply a lot of fire control, and maybe even just naturally have MagicYang reposition the tanks away from the zone. So then the mech rifles, Dragon, the other infantry could move in on close range with the Abramses firing on long range. And with that not happening, the whole game was kind of done after that all-in. The all-in worked exactly as it should. The units that naturally could counter this, such as the Kiowa Warrior and A10, would have required a lot of micro, even without all those botched tanking engagements early on. And you know, the Shilkas in mass are pretty threatening, and you don't have seats in this matchup, I don't think.
Yeah, the Shilkas of the Polish actually have the stats of the Biusas, while costing the same as the East German Shilkas, so that's currently a bit of a mismatch there as well, giving the Polish another advantage. There's a reason why this is the most played and one of the highest win rate divisions in the tournament so far. For sure the highest win rate out of the heavy plate divisions. 20th Panzerna has it all currently, and that's makes it quite easy to play. And 11th ACAP for sure is harder to play. I don't believe it's without chances though, if you play the M1A1s right, but yeah, we really didn't see them being played right. Like the S22, if you would have killed that, not lost your M1A1 by microing it better, if they would have kited over the long fields, then this game could have gone longer, but really well executed push here by MagicYang using the meta division. I don't quite get why it wasn't banned. Like, I feel like people still are too worried about the old guard from 2 patches ago, and are not worried enough about 20th Ponceana, and it just gets through even though it absolutely dominates stats-wise. And yeah, MagicYang here. In the end, Sontir not that far behind in KD, but you need the better, more expensive combined arms at the 11th, and that was just not being able to get onto the field. And MagicYang could still have a combined arms on the field, as the one of 20th Ponceana was just cheaper and got the W with that.
Yeah, I would say retreating with those tanks instead of taking the engagements. The Milan 2s were not in cover when they engaged. The Bradley was not in a great position when they engaged either. Of course, there wasn't that much time to predict the opener attack, but with the defensive unit compositions, the positions were not defensive enough to actually get the results there. Just getting like 1 or 2 hits with the Milan missile, maybe slowly like trickling down, not attritioning away some of the tank numbers, would have maybe bought some time for Abrams reinforcements to arrive. If an Abrams could eliminate 1 or 2 Shilkas, you could send in an A10, and that A10 could be microed to just eliminate most of the all-in theoretically. But when stuff starts cascading like that, it can be very difficult, especially with American divisions, to get back on that tempo.
And yeah, GGVP here to our player in red here, to MagicYang here in game number 1, executing this push really nicely. And yeah, Sontir should have used the Dracon helicopter maybe a bit better to figure out what was coming, but got it back and then didn't follow up around the one Honkarus to check out what's happening, and yeah, got punished for that. And yeah, let's see what we can get in game number 2 here. Quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with Sontir versus MagicYang, game 2. here we return. Game number 2. MagicYang on the right side. Sontir on the left side. And Sontir once more trying with the 11th as we are on Vertigo. A bit more open ground here. As MagicYang is going up 1 level to the 119th. But before we jump in, real quick shout out, guys, to the Metrino page. And a thank you to a couple more guys helping out, supporting the prize pool here whilst we were away for the last 3 days. And we even got another $5 in here from username 77. Much appreciated. Getting us to 325 bucks and closing in on the next stretch goal, which would mean money for the Division 3 champions as well. And yeah, if you want to support that, go over to the Metrino page, just click that claim code button on the top right, and you add 25 cents to the prize pool completely for free. You don't have to pay anything yourself, you just have to click the button like Andre did, like Username did, like Papat's new bag did, and you add free money to the prize pool. So yeah, just follow the link in the chat right now and support the tournament there. And yeah, let's get into the action here. As we have on the right side, BMP2s coming up, we have T-55s coming up. What's on the other side? A good couple of helicopters here and a lot of infantry. And I'm not so sure about infantry on this map. Like, this is a vehicle map. You play a heavy vehicle division. Why is there so much infantry here, Sontir?
Yeah, and especially the aircraft troopers here are supposed to be kind of acting independent. They're going into the front line, capturing both the Citadel in the middle and the southern zone. And these are Veteran C1 units. I understand that you want to have the numbers because 11th Force doesn't give you a lot of infantry slots. But if you're going to play with them like this, just have them at Vet 1. You only get like 4 or 5 per card anyways, and you're using 3. And that's just bad points usage because your any infantry fight early on or any single vehicle that's gonna spot them and start firing, those units are not gonna be, they're gonna get routed and they're gonna take so long to recover the stress that it's not even worth it. And on the other side with MagicYang, we're seeing some very tried and tested strats here. We're leaving the Spetsnaz into the deck and instead using OP Spetsnaz, which drive faster with the smaller cars. They don't come in trucks, so they can get these basically entry positions, and they can drive in there and use their mega powerful RPG-29 the missile launchers to take out early enemy units. Once again, of course, they are expecting at worst the ACAV and at the least some martyrs at some point, but any kills are relevant when playing against 11th due to their expensive nature. They will be followed up with Rasvedka BMP2s, properly vetted to Veteran C1, supported by a MiG-27, which will be kind of under risk of a fighter, so the Su-27 has been bought here to challenge the incoming F-16. And no expensive tanks here, but the 11th, 119th tanks don't have to come in as an all-in. The tanks are so expensive that even if you start buying them at minute 2 or 3, you can possibly keep up the tempo without committing into a full all-in.
Yeah, the Mi-24 case here and the Mi-24 rocket are really, really scary. Also, thank you for the 5 gifted subs there, SneakyBlackguy. I'm looking forward to casting your games next. But yeah, currently here in the quarterfinals of Division 4, and this is looking like a pretty rough opener here for Sontir. The H-24 with the MiG-27s did get a lot of space. The infantry here, the aircraft troopers are partially getting out, but a lot of them taking damage. The quick fix doesn't get microed on the front line, and nearly everything goes down here. 2 S-27 still remaining. The F-16C AA2 here gets caught. At least gets the kill on one S-27, but the second one still staying around, still protecting the Mi-24s, and they just have a field day. There's no ground-based AA, no ground-based Stingers here. The aircraft troopers mostly have been decimated. The M1A1 here still around, and it's still the heaviest tank. There's no T-80 on the other side. It's a light opener here for 119th, but there are still 2 BMP2s. There's still a TO-55, and the Mi-24V rocket had some Cocom missiles, so it used them all up for now. So maybe there is a bit of space for counterattack here, but you have to get rid of the Su-27 and the Mi-24s first. With them being around, there's little chance for actually pushing through. So the next minute of income here needs to get into an F-16 as well. Maybe buying it right now. That would be good. Shooting down the S-27 as it turns. No.
The ACAV getting got by a long-range side shot by the Rasvedka BMP-2 and then stunned by a second run from second direction. Huge issue for Sontir.
Yeah, and the northern troops all go down as well, and there's basically nothing left on the battlefield. Currently 4 units now, 3 units as GM1A1 goes down. 3 infantry units is all that is left on the battlefield. The A-10 rocket is being called in as there's no F-16 fighter anymore, it seems. And that one gets pushed back as well. The whole board has been cleared here as the A-10 goes down. Nearly every single unit here of Sontir has died, and yeah, just Sontir not finding the right openers here, just relying a bit too much on just infantry in both games in my eyes, just deploying a bit too much there. And in game number 1, not fully respecting the opener of Yang, and in game number 2, not fully respecting what 19th can bring around here either. And yeah, MagicYang here with 2 really, really strong openers and a quick game here.
Yeah, the composition for MagicYang here was like very well thought out. Basically, knowing that the helicopter opener is relevant to 1/19th, like helicopters are one of the strengths here, and the Cocoon missiles are good enough that even a small amount of can kill you like key enemy units and can watch these reinforcement routes. Not to mention, of course, the recon helicopter, recon gunship. It's also like very powerful for its price, especially. And so thinking that, well, I cannot go without the aircraft, but you can go without the tanks. And with the TO-55s being enough to attack any soft targets, and knowing that the enemy is going to have a problem fielding a lot of A1 Abramses anyways, this was just very well thought out here. Just even if the tanks are considered to be and are the key to 1/19 strength, these heaviest pack tanks in the game are in 1/19th, of course. Just ditching them and relying on the Rasvedka BMP-2s and the helicopters like this. I really like it. It's way more difficult for 1/19th to open and start fighting against a bunch of Su-27s than it is to open against T-80s. Because against the T-80s, you know, when you spot them, you could theoretically get a Kiowa warrior or a bomber to take them out. But right now, if you bring the T-80s after, you can't, because you can't bring out planes or helicopters. So
yeah, the M1A1 here gets shut down immediately as well, but this just felt like a bit of a mismatch. MagicYang getting a 2-0 victory here with 2 really, really strong openers, and the 119th here just pushing through. And with that, we'll move on to the semifinal. Really job well done. And yeah, Sontir just not quite in practice here, maybe with the opener, not quite in the meta, and just both openers missing a bit of the combined arms, like having a bit too much infantry for 11 force, which is just not the most infantry savvy division. Like the infantry you get in there is mediocre and just supposed to hold flanks, and putting 5, 6, 7 infantry units out there, that's not the way how to play this division usually, and especially not in these matchups, especially not on these maps. And yeah, MagicYang just didn't give Sontir any room to forgive any of those mistakes. Any little misplacement here got punished insanely hard, and the helicopter air opener just completely shredded through everything.
yeah, and even if the F-16s would have managed to get some good rolls and win against the like better planes that were bought more aggressively, the Su-27s, of course, even then, investing 11th investing heavily into getting air supremacy at the start would have in itself been a bad investment on the long term, because there would be less M1A1 Abrams, and as long as the Spetsnaz and the Razvedka BMP2 openers were applying the pressure, too many fighter planes early on could have also ended up with 11th, losing this just a little bit slower. And again, the MagicYang did kind of just play circles around 11th here, and but I don't think this was just like somebody flubbing their games and completely losing. No, both of these openers were pretty decently thought out for MagicYang.
Yeah, and that means we will have... Oh, I did misplace that. We will have MagicYang versus Zugrex in the semifinal here, and Khan and Dragotango on the other side, and yeah, that should be an interesting one. Zugrex having a bit of a harder time there. 2-1 versus Howler, but look pretty strong there as well, and maybe can find a better way to crack these openers, as this is the next semifinal here coming up. But with that said, guys, we're gonna switch over to Division 3 here now, as we have a semifinal there coming up as well, as we have SneakyBlackguy versus Sier here, and that is going to be interesting as well. And yeah, semifinal here, Division 3, upper bracket, and we will go into a short break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with this next little semifinal here between Sier and SneakyBlackguy. He is Black Guy. Yeah. No. He's an American. So here we go. And to Division 3 Semifinals, as we have on the right side Sier as a fellow streamer here, and on the left side the SneakyBlackguy, who comes in from the left side, who has played a hell of a lot, who has climbed a lot on the ladder since the start of the tournament, and who is in pretty good shape. Got us with a nice gifted subs earlier there as well, and Sier on the right side here coming around with Div3&4. And on the other side we have second UK, so two heavy meta divisions here fighting it out on the lovely map on Kreidel. And yeah, we have the Div3&4 setting up with the forward deployment here quite hard, including the SDRA-8. That's on the other side, obviously SAS, Gazelles, even three of them, not just the classic Skific, but Skific +1 opener here, and a couple of Robo Milans already setting up as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Zio representing Europe here will have an early game advantage against second UK, just because they combine the cheap recon vehicles with the scimitars with the SDRA-8s spec op recon units. The inherently second UK is a very aggro and like opener spec ops infantry attack based division, but with Bravo and also the northern side of Gulf and also the crossroads between Delta and Foxtrot, all of these are pretty close range infantry engagements, and Div3&4 can bring out so much HE damage against the even the SAS early on. So second UK would have to concentrate their more expensive units into doing these infantry attacks if they wanted to do infantry aggro. And that would be inefficient and risky because the reserve division is kind of the hard counter to expensive early on infantry spec ops attacks. So SneakyBlackguy here we're seeing is playing a little bit more conservatively, wanting to get out the combined arms early. We're seeing with the Warrior Milans and the Rover Milans. I have a feeling that the challengers are probably going to come out right after the opener, because the opener funds will have to be spent in taking at least one fighter. Because okay, we're seeing a Rapier FSP-1 here, which is the better anti-air missile that the second UK gets, but if we look at the Belgian side with Div3&4, we're seeing masses of World War II era vehicles. We're seeing in an all-out attack.
How dare you? They're Korean War era, right? Don't you make them older than they are. They're only. That's not the build here.
It's a 76 millimeter cannon, so yeah, Korean War.
It's a Walker Bulldog.
I mistook my Shafi for a Walker Bulldog. Excuse me, sir. Yeah. So yeah, basically they have the initiative here, and second UK wants to mold around and start getting these long grinding engagements where unit value is gonna start like deciding the fights. Because if unit value, specifically tank unit value, is what matters, the challengers can pick out an infinite number of M41s on long range. And so that's why I think that the only infantry aggro we're seeing here for SneakyBlackguy is to get into Bravo and kind of hold that beachhead, because that is also the most defensible position to hold on long ranges. The Zio is kind of exceptionally going up north to Gulf, which is a pretty good idea. I think you want to stay in as close range engagements as possible. If you can lock second UK into close range infantry engagements, where second UK is traditionally very powerful, you can have your provincial and your units with their 50 cal machine guns, as well, you know, the provincial is the massive, is it like 12 or 10 man reserve infantry squad, and you get basically an infinite number of those. So any long-term engagements close range, Div3&4 is going to win, I think. But of course, second UK, some of the most mobile, some of the most versatile, some of the most powerful divisions in the game. And Zio, despite being a friend of the stream and a player with gumption, I don't think is necessarily at his level.
Well, we have a AAA coming up. We have a lot of these M41s, and Div3&4 is a division that, when it can get going, it can really get going. And yeah, the 40-year-old tanks there, driving through the north. SAS here coming in. They will have a tough time against the SDRA-8s, though, and especially with the Paracommandos next to them. The Gazelles will spot some spots, but Sneaky needs to get up a decent amount of forces here before they really can take the fights. They have to be careful of the snowball effect that can come up here. The SAS starting to get the first engagement decently well here, but vehicles coming up in number.
Yeah, the SDRA-8s took a really bad engagement. They took 2v1 engagement against 2 SAS, and they did not even try to get close with the satchel charges. So they basically allowed the SAS to get perfect engagements here.
SAS pushing forward, Paracommandos under fire, Warrior Milans here, slowly driving through it all. The Parrot disengaging. Ooh, first shot against the M41 does take it out. SAS there, have to be careful now, but the M41's coming in bit by bit. SAS runs out of 84s though, before getting rid of them all, but the armored rifles here coming in just in time, so the southern engagement here going pretty well for Sneaky. But the SDRA-8 slowly moving forward with the punk rockers, but M41s here coming in another group of 4, pushing through the north. There is a Rover Milan, there is a Warrior Milan on the other side, but the Alouette might be able to spot them. The Lynx here not gonna survive for long, especially not with the triple 20mm coming in from the north, getting the shot on target there. Jaguar doesn't get the best bombing run here, whilst Sier does reinforce the south actually, doesn't push for the middle or double invest into the north. Nope, wants to contest Bravo still, whilst the push towards Delta now really comes in. M41's driving in, Alouette is around for the spotting, but the first couple of missiles already coming in. Armored rifles here getting involved as well, and the M41's finally getting engaged, but not getting any hits there. Armored rifles get the kill against the Unimog. M41's struggle to get any damage in. Finally got a hit on the Warrior, but all pretty low there. It seems like Sneaky might hold that part of the map as well.
Yeah, the Jaguar here also probably not going to get the best engagements, but at least manages to take out the Alouette. And there are recon units, the Scimitars up north and the Brabant squad moving in with the infantry. But this being so close to Sneaky's reinforcement route, and also... Oh wait, no, there is actually a military police unit to keep those tanks in check. The car is a military police unit there. But yeah, even then, these engagements are gonna... Zio needs their enemy to be a little bit passive here with the buys, and maybe Zio's full-on commitment into the southern attack actually managed to draw away some points and attention. Now with the Warrior Milan, as having ran out of missiles almost, and having destroyed the Rover Milan, now the vehicles can keep on applying the pressure. Sneaky is sending a squad of Warrior Milans to counter this, but they may not arrive there in time. Also, more Walker Bulldogs coming to the southern attack, where some kind of a breakthrough might be happening now with the Provincial in the scene. Of course, the M75s are also the fast, and they have 50 cals with like 2,000 ammunition, so very good infantry fire support all around.
And yeah, AV pushing forward. We have a couple more M41s coming in. We have a good more M47s now coming in. The vehicle spam here does continue. The Provincials coming around. Mod Aeromobiles holding the north though. Scimitars going down. The Warriors there did reposition and get a lot of missiles out. And it seems like Zio's momentum might get broken in the north at least, but they still have a decent amount of momentum left in the south, and the Rover Milans there, they do a decent job, but they start to run out of Milans. And there is no supply truck close by yet, so I feel like it's gonna be tough for our player in red to hold, player in blue to hold off the red force here pushing into the south. Div3&4 there with a lot of pressure, and the M41s there maybe can just run through at this point. Sneaky trying to get a CV in there, but I believe that one just will have to run back quite quickly. Though they killed the Iltis in the south, so at least there will be a bit of time until Zio can recapture the southern territory.
Yeah, the SDRA-8 have now solidly gone into Delta and taken over local organized crime operations, and their allies, the reservist paracommandos, have a blindicide, which is one of the best, the best Belgian AT weapon, and having microing that reserve paracommando out there to engage the vehicles if they're getting close could be crucial. And 2v1, they can beat the SAS. The SAS are going to be moving in with the air mobile pioneers. Oh no, but the Saxon and the Challenger are going to go first. This might allow for a pretty nice hit here from Zio's side. Zio's reinforcements are going to go out there right as the Challenger is completely out of position, I think.
Yeah, Harrier here under fire by the F-16s. F-16 gets shut down, double hit by the SAS. Classic SAS moment there. Yeah, you don't want to bring in air until the SAS are dead. That's really the power of the British. SAS are with their super crazy with their high accuracy, 71% accuracy stingers. Like any plane flying over them is risking its life big time, and that's one of the main reasons why 2nd UK is such a busted division. And yeah, Zio did feel that here as well, losing 2 planes. Got one of the SAS finally killed off, and the good thing is that there aren't endless SAS, so once you get rid of them, the British power level does fall off quite big. But currently it is still there. M47 still in a big plop now, driving through the north. The Warriors there don't stand a chance, they should just disengage further back. As we have some hell arms coming around. The Challenger did get hit pretty hard there as well, and it is now really close to the front line, desperately trying to get out of there, but that's the issue of the Chelly. Once it is stunned down, it is down to an absolute crawl, and trying to disengage there is going to be tough. We have a lot of hell arms coming along, trying to help out against the strikers. SDRA-8 goes down as well. Chelly does miss, but we'll make it into the next tree line here in time. SDRA-8's under fire. Rover Milans in the south go down, as we have some Lynx Hell Arms there as well. They do a decent job. And yeah, the trades here continue, but Div3&4 cost efficiency is pretty scary for our player in blue. The Chelly really needs repairing. Losing that would be quite brutal right now, as the 2nd Challenger Mark II is coming onto the battlefield.
Yeah, the SAS attack on Delta went exactly as it was not supposed to. The SAS unit unloaded before the air mobile pioneers and did not wait for the air mobile pioneers. This meant that by the time the pioneers were in the fighting range and very close, the SAS had already been bursted down and largely destroyed. Now, and the Challenger driving in right there, the paracommandos got such good shots. Completely, like this was a gift to Zio. A little bit more micro, maybe a little bit less attention paid to Bravo, and Sneaky could have maybe used those units better. Now even with the helicopter counter there, just like panic buys. There is no. There is an immediacy behind these reinforcements and not really a strategy.
Well,
And,
the
Zio,
Lynx alarms are actually pretty good here, though, because there was not that much AA on the front line. The one in the north did overextend a bit, though, and the one in the south actually got one of the AAs. They should have retreated now, but I like that for containing the push. It maybe would have done with one each in the south and the north, but in total, I don't dislike the Lynxes by itself. The micro in the north, maybe not the best though. And yeah, now the Foxes and the Challengers need to set it up and try to get back in there. And that's gonna be somewhat tough there once the big flop is setting up in the south. Yeah, the airplay here is attempted with the Jaguar bombers, but there is an Eyehawk. You don't have seed, and that's a tough thing, dealing with the Eyehawk then. And yeah, the Challenger's now out of position here, and that's the big issue. As trying to push into them, into Milans, into strikers, that's not going to be easy. And the +4 is actually a pretty big tick, and it's even going up to a +5 here in a second.
Yeah, the like Zio's full-on commitment into that close-range engagement. Basically, when the provincial got in there was such a massive like boost of stats that Sneaky has now been forced like out of all the major zones. Now Charlie has not really been fought over yet, but it's pretty clear that they don't have points to contest Zio actually sending in the command vehicle every once in a while. And so like where do you go from here? Because my sense is that you want to do a mech block. You want to get the mech that you have left with, and you want to buy a bunch of airplanes to support them, and then you're going to want to use recon units to engage these reserve units on the long ranges. But the biggest issue for that is that the challengers are brought on 0 vet due to second UK losing the second card of challengers a little bit some time ago. So second UK's ability to do that kind of mech pushing is inherently weaker. Up north here we're seeing actually this kind of fight happening, but even this is without any infantry support here. The paracommandos are going to be a huge problem on the side, as well as these M41s inside the forest. And the SAS up north, even though it's going to take out the vehicle, is not in a position to assist this attack in any way, really, outside of covering the flank.
Yeah, Fox is there getting engaged. Shelly is pushing forward. Shelly's taking out some M47s, some M41s. Ooh, Jaguar not getting its bomb dropped off. And there is an Eyehawk. The Shelly's doing pretty well there now. Doing some good damage against M47s. Starting to take them out. Warrior Milan goes down beforehand though. And oh no! The Clinder side gets a side shot. Takes out a Shelly. Next Shelly gets taken out by the striker. It was going so well until it wasn't. That infantry side flank there really taking it all out, and at the same time the rover in the middle up in a 1v1 versus a Milan, and then the Jagdpanzer comes around as well. And the double Jelly loss, that's just too much. Those were supposed to survive here. The air spam is interesting, but it's not really solving the issue here. There's just too many targets and too much good AA around. And that means that the second UK here now has to work out something in the south, and even losing some units there to the planes, cluster bombers at least get pushed back, but this position here is a tough one. Challenger and Warriors in the south now need to get a real breakthrough, and Challengers, with the lower rate of fire, really not the perfect tank for this scenario.
Yeah, and also the lack of speed also means that they can't effectively kite as well, and the 0 vet means that they are going to lose their fire rate and accuracy, even if they're under fire by weaker enemy weapons. And yeah, Zio here has gotten basically everything they wanted in exactly the ways that they wanted it. I think Sneaky's mech attack up north, that was just a complete catastrophe a moment ago. I think that was a kind of a testing point here if this game is going to keep on going, because that had to go well. Like there's so many, you can't really do anything else except attack when you're in this kind of a position and the enemy is leading you at +4. But just the lack of the SAS having been sacrificed in the earlier attack, and the Air Mobile Pioneer, which is also a very powerful unit on itself, also getting sacrificed in that attack, I think that was the mismanagement that sealed the deal. Zio has been able to play like solid and good and reliable, consistent reserve attack, which is easy to do, of course, but it takes so much out of an opponent to micro against that. And those micro resources just have not been here for SneakyBlackguy, I don't think.
Yeah, Challenger here trying to come in the back with and take some of the territory back, but the +5 is pretty big. Double Challenger Mark II. We have some Lynx cell arms, but the triple 20mm trucks actually having a pretty big time there, time and again against these units, and there's just too many Eyehawks for the air spam. Lynx cell arms going down. The Jaguar just barely survives. And the M47 push here now coming in. Lynx cell arms there going down to the triple 20mm. And second UK here in a world of pain right now. HE cluster coming around, trying to get the kill. Phantom at least gets the F-16 down, but the rest of the situation here once more pretty dire.
Yeah, the Challenger leaders here being able to apply like some level of map control, but without solid support, those leaders can't really move forwards. There's no recon here to realistically tell them what's safe and what is not, so they're gonna sit out here and have the enemy trade shots at them with the AMX-13 Milan launcher. Funnily enough, I've seen this before.
Yeah, Challenger gets the CV captured in the north. More mod ammo builds coming in. Zone situation is still really, really rough. No real solution for this just yet, as there's just a lot of infantry and a lot of light vehicles here driving through the southern part of the map. There is a Challenger, but there is really little else. Challenger does miss their first shot. Next Challenger might have to try to go intercept. Mobile might have to reposition there as well, but then nothing coming in yet.
Yeah, the artillery, the 203 millimeters coming in here to give the quite overpowered fire support also is just gonna it's not the nail in the coffin necessarily, but with the enemy having to rely on so few units, the artillery's power is multiplied relatively to this.
Yeah, and we have a +3 now coming along, and that is pretty rough here. Only 3 minutes remaining. A lot of AA coming in for the Phantom. Phantom down to 1 hit point. CS kill off 1 Alouette too, but that's about it. Lynx cell arm under fire there by the Mistrals. Mistral pretty good anti-tank there, and oh boy, that's a lot of units there. P-55s coming around. Scimitar not able to get the hit there. Lynx cell arm coming around as well. And yeah, this is a really, really tough position, as you need basically the middle here now as Zio, and getting the middle is as Sneaky, as Zio is now coming in even for the rear zone, and otherwise Zio is going to get a victory here relatively soon.
Yeah, even with second UK, which does have a fast deploying units, a lot of mobile stuff outside of the tanks, of course. If you just don't have units on board and the enemy has units on board, it's going to be the issues are going to culminate, and the reserve division, even if it is losing singular engagements, as we're seeing right now with the Sneaky's forces near the spawn, eliminating singular units, they cannot apply enough map control to actually secure this. And with the Zio having the strikers hold the flank here, it's also like the provincial getting sacrificed in this engagement. It's actually beneficial for Zio so that they can just prepare for the next engagement a little bit earlier. Deep Mob, I think, is going to be, for a lot of people, they're going to complain a lot about it being overpowered, because it is. But even when it stops being fully overpowered, people are still going to complain about it. And I think that's because they just we haven't had meta reserve divisions in a while. And a lot of other reserve divisions play kind of similarly, not necessarily as aggro as this, some reserve divisions used to before they were nerfed. But like TKS, for instance, TKS can do similar stuff here. They just have weaker reserve infantry squads and less of the reservist tanks. But they of course have better ones with the M48 patterns, and with DivMob might be for a lot of people their first taste of an actual meta reserve division, and so they will think that this is just mindless spam when the spam is anything but mindless.
Yeah, and the M47s here now getting through there in numbers. Challenger Mark II sitting in the north. The M47s here with the scimitars in a really good spot. The Lynx Hell Arms really got mismicroed here a lot in this series. The AAs had a pretty easy time there shooting them down time and again, and those were the units that I thought maybe could hold this. Like, they have 8 missiles. Those missiles do one-shot the M41s, and they do good damage against the M47s, two-shotting those. So they can do the damage, but every single time they ran into the 20mm after firing 1 or 2 missiles, and at that point then the Lynx is just not cost efficient. You need to at least kill one of the enemy units and then damage the second. Like, once you kill 2, you have paid off, and that's absolutely doable, but it feels like Sneaky just not fully there when it came to dealing with the units the enemy had, and just, yeah, a bit spread thin. Whilst Zio did micro the plops across the map pretty well, and yeah, with that, Div3&4's power, Div3&4 snowball just got enabled, and it is a really, really, really strong snowball. If you think it's OP, you can ban it in the league. You have 3 bans, so you can use them there. But, well, yep, Sneaky did leave it open, and still got overrun here.
Yeah, and as we've said and pointed out many times, the DivMob is currently overpowered, but this does not mean that the skills learned playing an overpowered division are necessarily irrelevant. So even if our viewers here want to indulge in a little bit of DivMob, I think they can maybe limit the amount of provincial that they buy, maybe limit the amount of the 203mm artillery they can use, and still like start getting not just the basics but also the intermediary to how to play with large numbers of units and what you need to have on the board before you start attacking, because it's also very easy to play reserve divisions badly. You just play them like you play standard divisions.
Yeah,
And
the
then
issue
you lose.
also is that obviously once the enemy can get just that mid-level combat arms onto the battlefield, you're just gonna leave lag behind with a reservist division, and they got like most of the OG reservist divisions just got busted at some point with just them being treated like normal divisions, and just being treated as every unit has to be just normal cost efficiency, normal availability, and then they just fall apart in the mid game and the late game. And Div3&4 is the first one that does it a bit right, and obviously overdid it there with just having some cost efficient stuff again and having some good cards. And yeah, then reservist divisions can be viable again, and it's nice to see one shine again. It's gonna be good to see it nerfed again as well, because obviously it's too prominent right now. But yeah, in League it could get banned. Sneaky didn't ban it, and Zio did get the W for it, using it really well. And you still have to beat another meta division here. Second UK, not a bad division. It was not just Div3&4 doing it here. It was also Sneaky misplaying and Zio doing some nice, good setups there with their units. The first couple engagements of the SAS were okay, but the air spam attempt here of Sneaky was a mistake. I think they should have focused more on helicopters and getting more warriors out, getting the warrior challenger combo into a better position, and then just start killing off the mechanized blob and playing it from there.
Yeah, and with Zio now having back themselves a seemingly an easy victory, I will predict that SneakyBlackguy will not be allowing Zio to play Div Mob next. And let's see what else Zio has in store for us. Shall we, Proto?
Quick break, guys, and then we're going to be back with the next one. Here we return, game number 2, and Zio up 1-0, and we have a pretty interesting matchup here in game number 2 as well, as Zio is playing the last meta's top NATO division, which still is good. I'm not sure if it's still the top division of the NATO side, but it is still quite strong. That's for sure. And that's the 5th Blindé, the French armored division, France's heaviest division, which doesn't mean a lot, as they didn't get the Leclerc out in time because they had to do their own thing again. They couldn't do a developed combined arms project with the rest of Europe. They couldn't develop a tank with Germany. They had to go the extra way, split it up again, as always, going the French way, and meaning they didn't have a Leclerc ready in time in 1989. If you want to see the Leclerc in the game, blame the French for being always individualists about their military equipment, and yeah, always having to delay it instead of going into a joint project with the Germans. And yeah, on the other side, we have a division that has seen a bit of a comeback lately. WARNO first, got a decent amount of buffs in the last patch. It was on the lower end beforehand, because it was just not quite cost efficient, but its deltas got a bit cheaper, and the IFV meta in general has been nerfed a bit with the autocannon nerf, with the ATGM reload time nerf, so that was what dominated WARNO first, that was what bullied it, and now with better AM7Ms and so on, the division is in a pretty decent spot. Let's see if the deltas and the follow-up here can swing it around for Sneaky.
Yeah, and traditionally or past metas, we would see that this is like an obvious, like superior situation for Zio. This map doesn't really encourage like opener aggro as much as it does mid game aggro. Your openers are going to be weak compared to the first 10 minutes of the kind of combined arms getting built around, and the early powerful units such as the AMX-10 Surblinde, the AMX-30B2 tank with the autocannons, and all of this stuff getting out there on board. Roland 3, of course, very powerful AA vehicle, which will be the main one to fight against the limited bombers, but multiple fighters of the 101st. 101st doesn't have that many bombers, they have more helicopters. Of course, the French are pretty decent against those as well, but due to limited slots, not everybody runs the gun AA, the AMX-13 DCA. But yeah, so the French Blinde, unlike other dedicated armored divisions, has large and powerful infantry squads, so they can contest against the air rifle dragons and such. Problem is that the air rifles are shock troops. They will win the fights if they get onto touching distance, which means that in the deep depths of Zulu and Oscar, the air rifles and the deltas, well microed, can fight against the French infantry tabs. And the numbers of ITOs and TOW2s are especially coming in here cheap. 55 points for a mule ITO. These things hard counter French vehicles. The French vehicles need to do the aggro with the Surblinde being maybe the best recon unit in the game, being a recon and an attack and fire support at the same time. And so if Zio wants to play this aggro, they're also going to have to use their AMX-30 B2s as infantry fire support, and then they're going to have to micro those AMX-30 B2s against the ITOs. And then 101st actually gets the better tank. M1IP Abrams is technologically completely superior to the B2, the AMX-30 B2, and especially long-range engagements and long-range defensive engagements. The IP is going to be a very crucial factor here. And Sneaky's tactic, as we can see, is using the deltas with their super fast special forces Humvees, is going to try to take two of the like entry roads basically into the town. And controlling those, the deltas can hold them for the moment, especially with the Carl Gustavs. At least they can threaten the enemy and keep them away. And then once they're on the ground, the recon advantage will allow the IP Abrams and the rest of the units to engage methodically. At least that's the idea. We'll see if the Surblinde start getting some early kills here. Also important to note, the Dragon Paras, which are the special forces recon for the French, don't have anti-tank weapons, so the Humvee deltas can be very, very deadly against them.
Yeah, we have also Humvee AGL, not quite as fast as the Humvee Delta, but with good fire support and 5 points cheaper. The AGL doing good damage against infantry. We have the little birds coming out as well and getting around here as the Dragon Para here drive through the ground, come into the town, and slowly get into the action here. As the little bird does get around, does get some damage. Dragon Paras having to fall back here. And yeah, 101st Airborne here, doing a good job. Super Blinde on the other side. Might get some shots out. Oh, engaging the deltas, not the transports. Mistake there, and double Humvee Mule to Ito coming around. Zio smokes off in time. Has to disengage. Gets the commandos into the town. Gets some special forces infantry in there. Against the Delta special forces on the other side. Gazelle cannons get eliminated. Little birds still flying around. OH-58 C here. Doing a good job, but the Rolands, oh, not able to retaliate just yet. VLRA versus Humvee Delta. The Humvee usually should win this. It's pretty close. Both might die. The VLRA actually luckier there with the salvo, but goes down against the Ito right afterwards. Super Blinde getting too close to the Deltas. Oh. Can maybe disengage there. Can disengage there for now. Has to be careful, even the AGL could be deadly. Meanwhile, heavy infantry fights in the north. Commandos there in tough fights. M1IP did get an AMX-10 killed up north. The AMX-10 Super Blindé goes down to the TOW 2 as well. Not the best infantry vehicle micro here from Zio, and that's a big problem. Eagle comes in, nearly goes down to the AMX-13s, but yeah, all the vehicles are dead here for Zio, and that's not what we want to have happen at Swift Blade, as that's the division that usually wants to snowball the mechanized blob, and we only have 2 damaged AMX-10s in the south, and none of the tanks in the north right now. Only 2 more AMX-30 Sprenners now coming up, but the front line has been reduced. The M1IP is still alive, and all the AMX-10s on the other side have bite the dust.
Yeah, the Dragon Paras are going to try to engage the leader and the Delta here, but they're actually moving away. Yeah, that's a correct choice here. Zio needs to play defensive for that needs to rebuild. The opener of playing 101st against 5e or playing any division against 5e, you're going to be playing let's dodge the AMX-10 RC. The AMX-10 RCs can immediately lose the game to you if you don't like pay attention to them, but they're also so expensive that if they, as we kind of saw here, if they don't get the results, if they open fire against infantry units and don't fire at the reinforcements, if they can't get the price out there, and we saw that the AMX-10 in the south didn't manage to stop the Aero TOW 2, and the TOW 2 is now imposing fire control on the entirety of the south side of the map here.
And, and the TOW 2 is also great because it one-shots even the heaviest vehicle. Even the MX 30 Brennus gets one-shotted by the TOW 2. And that's really the moment where the TOW 2 becomes cost-efficient in this matchup. Like, there are a couple of matchups where the TOW 2 is overkill. There are a couple of matchups where the TOW 2 still struggles to get the kill. Against this division here, against the French 5th Blindé, it's the perfect tool. It one-shots everything, and everything is decently expensive as well, that getting a hit by a TOW 2 does hurt quite a bit, and that makes the TOW 2 here a really good piece of kit. M1IP has to be careful now. The Brennises did kill one of the TOW 2s in the north and are currently on the hunt for the M1IP. M1IP has its turret stuck. That's a nasty crit, but the Dragon Power maybe with the side shot help here. Ooh, they failed to get the kill for now. Get under fire now, but the Brennis haven't gotten to the M1IP yet, and that might allow the M1IP to actually get revenge here in a second. Arrow Rifled Dragon still getting another one out, getting a Brennis kill this time around, and the French snowball is set back once more.
Yeah, the fact that the Deltas, the TOW 2 is watching the south, the map control imposed by these, the Deltas have the sniper rifle as well, so they can also...
M1IP gets the side shot, gets the stun. The Brennis has to disengage, it doesn't disengage, it tries to take the fight, it likely is going to shoot too late. It does shoot, but it actually misses, and the M1IP does get the kill there on the return, and that once more reduces the snowball. M1IP here used really well by Sneaky, and Zio should have just chased it down further, but did stop, and that got to him now here, really making him pay. 2 Brennises down, and the M1IP that they were supposed to kill is still alive. Big issue. Roland 3s here getting sniped left, right, and center as well. The mechanized units here getting attrition to weight, though a decent amount of forces here dying on the side of Sneaky as well. Leaders going down, some Humvees going down, some TOW 2s got killed, a decent amount of infantry got killed around the battlefield as well, and the first 101st is not the cheapest infantry division either, so replacing units in it, like the TOW 2 teams, like the M1IPs, like the Aero Dragons or the Deltas, like, you can't just give away 3 units there either, but the kills are pretty big here. And
the IP Abrams got a perfect, I believe that was a side shot actually, taking the Brennus down to veterans he won, but the Gazelle actually gets the kill here.
Yeah, and the Brennus does at least survive, bombing run pretty well there with the Jaguar as well. Chaparral not able to get any damage on. And yeah, both sides here running on fumes right now. They are both really low in forces. Next M1IP has arrived, but there are two MX-30s here trying to save the Brennus. They are not quite close enough to deal good damage. The second one here a bit closer, but does miss its first shot. Would deal a bit more damage here. And yeah, there we go. The M1IP has to disengage. Brennus getting involved against the aero rifle fire team leader. That goes down quite quickly. We see some supply mules going down. Not able to save the M1IP here from more punishment. Chaparral goes down, and yeah, both sides hammering units away. Chasseurs and commandos had to scout for all of this, so they had to suicide themselves a bit into town as well. Were already damaged from the previous kills, meaning that the TRM 2000 is not able to get them back to strength. And now the TOW 2 here might be the deciding unit as the MX-30s run into it. The M1IP is allowed to come around again. Does miss its first shot, but MX-30 is not involved, and the TOW 2 comes around with another shot, takes out the Brennus. AMX-10 goes down on itself to the Deltas, and Zio just overstepping the welcome here. Chasing too deep without recon, and the TOW 2 getting two important kills again, swinging the whole pendulum around in favor of Sneaky again. AMX-10 lost in the self. Over eager there from Zio as well, trying to get that in without any reinforcements there either. And no recon on the battlefield. 4 units here on the side of Zio, not much more on the side of Sneaky, but more. And that's the deciding thing here right now. Both sides have attritioned themselves away to next to nothing here on the battlefield, but it is currently in favor of Sneaky.
Yeah, and Sneaky has build up. You can see the aero TOW 2s on the south and the deltas up north of the northern Zulu area, of course. These are building up a concave. Zeals reinforce easily spotted. If they're easily spotted, this means that the counters can be bought for those units even before the attack is happening. The TOW 2s, for instance, we saw that this latest engagement, Sneaky won that by having the reserve TOW 2 in the middle of the town here, and I don't know what led to the decision of positioning that vehicle right there, but I have a feeling it has something to do with deltas up north still being alive. And with this recon advantage, the more expensive units of 101st, the infantry in general is more expensive here. We're also seeing a Green Beret ODAs, and the deltas are expensive, of course. These using these units, just not using them blindly, is so crucial, because blindly they can get themselves into a bad engagement, buying 3 infantry units, and the enemy happens to have 2 AMX-30B2s in a good position. Your infantry is just done.
And yeah, we have Muley Aito here coming around. M1IP still around. Ooh, nearly getting a side shot there against an MX-30B2 again. MX-30 able to shoot back, but the lack of recon is the big issue here. Zio is getting some on the battlefield again, but obviously because they lost all of the other units around already, they now have to get the recon and the other units on the battlefield again, and that takes a lot of time, and the combine arms here has to be fully reassembled again. AA has to get brought back, recon has to be brought back, infantry has to be brought back. And there are 2 MX-30s that are damaged that now need supply again, because that died as well. Like every single thing here did get punished quite hard. VLRA trying to get involved against the TOW 2. Not managing to get the kill. MX-30 dealt some damage here against the F-15, but not enough to get the kill. It's on 0 vet and it doesn't have enough support there. Jaguar HE coming around the rear. We'll try to get to the front line here in a second. AMX-30 gets side-shotted by the Delta. This Delta squadron here really being the MVP so far, giving so much recon and also getting decent amount of damage, and now kills in on the side here. AMX-30B2 going down, and the numbers are just not there. You need 3-4 of them to deal with those M1IPs, and there are only 2 on the battlefield. 1 coming in as reinforcement, the other one having to repair. And the M1IP just can dominate here right now. TOW 2 coming along again in the middle. The commandos at least able to unload. having to take some movement here as well. Next M1IP can come up. We have a Chinook with a minigun moving around. We have the Green Beret ODA as an absolute beast of a Special Forces infantry here in the northern town. Southern town has a leader version of it, so yeah, Zio starting to struggle here. Aito Muley coming around. Can the MX-30 get the kill on this one? Pushes through the smoke. Does miss the next shot. Does micro back. Might get the next shot out here in time. Yeah, gets the kill there finally. Though still eats the Aito. MX-13 goes down again. Geo is just a bit too careless with the rear units. Like, the Roland's dying to TOW2s on both sides. The MX-13's all getting shot. Using your support units like this is just so painful. Because that means less frontline units and less snowball. And yeah, 5th Blinde is all about that snowball. And it just gets watered down every single time here.
Yeah, there's nothing debilitating than trying to build up a mech blob inside a concave. Like, Zio's position behind the town at Oscar here is so bad. Here, the TOW2 has like great sighting range for any vehicles that are trying to like dodge the town. The northern area, the forests and the delta allow and give the safe space for tanks and units to repair and to hide and to move even further to Alpha. And to hold the town, Zio needs the best French infantry, the best infantry 5e has to offer. And those commandos, even then, are not good enough to fight against the Green Beret ODA, because nothing is. And maybe arguably a Spetsnaz unit could fight, but like, even then, Zio was just in such a bad position to try to get that next snowball up, and has bravely been trying to compensate for this with micro. But there's just when the position starts getting this bad, there's very little you can do. And on this map, of course, you are locked into fight in very specific areas. So somebody like Sneaky here, who kind of understands what screws to turn to prevent the tank division from doing anything, has been able to do those pretty freely. Like, Zio really, like, had the opener had to pay off. AMX-10 RCs had to take something, and all those points spent into that, and all of those units lost. And Sneaky has not been making any mistakes, not doing any needless overextensions, and playing it slow, knowing that now,
Well,
with the IPA. Oh,
there have been a couple of overextensions as well. Like, Sneaky didn't end up with nearly no units on the battlefield either. Like, I think both played the early game quite aggressively, but yeah, I think Zeus was in a similar spot and then just decided to drive the AMX-30s forward when they didn't need to. If they would have had those 3 AMX-30s and just build around that, I think the situation here for Sneaky actually could have been quite dire. It's just that Zio kind of decided to suicide them, and that's kind of what ended this whole thing. I think Sneaky was a bit and a bit overextending with the WARNO first as well. Just that Zio did overextend even more once they both went into a game of risk here. And yeah, driving tanks into deltas, for example, like, so that's just something that should not happen. You should never have your tanks without anything in front of them driving around and just being able to get shot frontally by Carl Gustavs. Like, those kind of situations only happen when both just take the pedal to the metal and just, like, with too much gas here. Like, it feels like a game of chicken. Both sides just driving towards each other with a car, and Zio actually is the one that is crashing it right now, while Sneaky is just barely clinging on to life, but doing it better.
yeah, and I would say they were barely clinging to life early. Right at this point, it seems to be a very much Sneaky favored. I think the overextensions were the reason why I didn't consider them overextensions necessarily. Was I felt that securing the concave was the most important thing. That having the positions that we currently see the 2 Abramses operating on and of course the Delta being out there to spot the reinforcement route, that was something worth taking risks over, because Zeo and even Zeo's one of the consequences of Zeo sending those AMX-30s to their deaths was that that firepower was not out there to actually secure the front line. And without the front line, there's always going to be a concave, especially when Sneaky still held only the western part of the town. Zeo was incentivized to keep sending infantry out there, which means also sending mech to support them. The concave itself is it's a deadly weapon, the trap. If you ever notice yourself stepping into it, you gotta reposition fast. And Zeo right now we're seeing is finally has some stuff on board here and is engaging infantry on ranges. And with the Eclaireur, if the Eclaireur can move a little bit, they could even start spotting the IP Abramses. The IP Abramses, if they are on Veterancy 1, I believe they can pretty easily deal with the AMX-30s, but without the Veterancy 1, they will have the one-third of the stress recovery of the French vehicles, which means in practice the fire rate and accuracy is just gonna be garbo.
Yeah, our rifles going down. The Roland 3 is just dying to frontline units time and again. It's just so weird to me. Like, I don't know what Zeo exactly is so fearful of that they drive the Rolands into that area. WARNO first doesn't have the best bombers, and we haven't seen a single helicopter. And still, Rolands, without having to involve into AA fights, do get shut down. And yeah, the Roland still died every single time. Like, we saw 3 Rolands die, we saw a good couple of AMX-13s die, and that just shouldn't happen. Like, that's points that could be spent into recon, into the tank blob, and they still died every single time, and that's just a big problem here. The Green Beret ODAs and arrow rifles are just the way superior infantry now, so you're not going to win the infantry fight at this point. You need to win the vehicle fights, and you can still do that, but the +2 is an annoying tick at this stage, and AMX-10 here gets shut down by the TOW2s. There aren't endless numbers of TOW2s, so yeah, if the game would have stabilized a bit earlier, the AMX-1 could have started this earlier, and then the game would have been pretty critical here. But now Sneaky has 4 155mm as they just snowballed pretty heavily the last couple of minutes, and the AMX-30s here struggle to get some one-shot kills, struggle to really get engagements against the infantry because they don't have enough support around them.
Yeah, the Black Hawk is trying to fight something in the southern area, gonna get caught by a DCA, but the main attack of Zeo here is pretty clearly about trying to secure the southern part of Zulu. Now there is not an immediate surrounding force of ATGMs here, but with the Apache, the Sneaky can micro and keep these tanks far away here and buy themselves time to get more ATGMs, more units out here. And yeah, this the artillery is gonna, even without the infantry engagements here, which are going to automatically go to the stronger infantry without the fire support engaging, the artillery, the 4 pieces of artillery here, like this is Sneaky has such a good vision on a bunch of stuff here because of the delta being in the middle, that the artillery is just gonna force Zeo to do something fast, if not the +2 tick.
Yeah, the pivot's moving around. We'll get the Alouette there. The commandos trying to get some vision so that the AMX-30s maybe can finally hit something again. But the AMX is not being used currently actively. Roland 3 goes down to the first salvo of the 155mm. They can shut down anything at this stage. They can shut down tanks. They can shut down the AA. Now 2 more Rolands have to be bought, and are getting bought because, yeah, otherwise the Apaches could come around. AMX-13s being rebought as well, and that's 9 AA pieces being bought already at the 20-minute mark, and that's just something that you want to avoid at all costs usually, having to invest so much into AA, because it's just units that don't do anything outside of the one job that they do defensively, and they can't push for you, they can't do any other job here, they can't scout for you or anything like that, and that's a big issue. MX13 at least come in here to deal some damage in time, but MX30's going down again here, and this snowball's just completely out of control, and I don't see it coming back in time here. 9 minutes still remaining. The +2 is ticking relatively slowly, but Apache's here now pushing forward. 3 of them. First kill on an MX13. Now more fast flying ATGMs coming around as the Hellfires here are really strong. Just keep on landing on top of the MX13, stunning it down. Not quite able to get it killed just yet, and 2 of the Apaches actually going pretty low. Last one actually running out of Hellfires already, because they fired it into so many other units that the MX-13 actually holds the ground, but not before a lot of other units going down around it. And the M1A1 likely gonna push up to get the kill now. MX-13 there. Falling back, MX-30 under fire. Can't retaliate against the M1 IP with its 18 frontal armor, and is struggling to do the job here.
Yeah, the French armored attack breaks down like wet toilet paper when facing Apaches. Basically, the Apaches outrange the DCAs. Importantly, I don't know if you mentioned that, and they also one-shot kill the AMX-30s. The way to deal with the Apaches would have been a front line of man-patch Mistrals, where infantry weapons teams, or air superiority. Neither of which, of course, is really realistic to secure at this part of the game. And yeah, I think this, like, 101st is, for the longest time, has been known as an inefficient division. That its stuff is just a little bit too expensive compared to units that can do the same thing, but for cheaper. And those have an inherent advantage where you can always have like a little bit more tempo advantage on the board. But with the combination of the deltas, the Apaches, the M1 IPs, and the, even if it's inefficient, the high-tech expensive infantry, special forces, everything, if you can't catch 101st out, if you can't punish them for early buying Eagles or early buying Apaches, if you can't avoid the engagements with the M1 IPs on longer ranges, and or alternatively, if you lock yourself into close range infantry fights where they can, in the end, they can always buy the ODA, and in every 101 engagements you're gonna have, ODA is just gonna perform way better. The ODA is gonna put out so much firepower that your infantry units are gonna lose their cohesion, and then they're gonna get stunned, and then their DPS is gonna go down, so they're not gonna do any cohesion damage to the ODA. You know, all of this can be managed by 101st if you don't catch them out. A 101st player that's doing badly might try to fix their game by sending in a wave of elite infantry, helicopter transports. But if you have the combined arms out there, you can either eliminate them with 50 cal machine guns, or you can just get a bomber or something. But in these late game stages where all the combined arms is on board, the 101st is looking like it looks like it's unstoppable. But, it really is not.
Yeah, the Apache wave here is just pretty scary. But yeah, the snowball game got lost when the grind to the bottom was won here by Sneaky, and Zio never took the time to reposition and recover. They still went into the meat grinder every single time. And at that point, the combined arms was just better on the other side, and that meant every single engagement went better for the side with the better combined arms. And at that point, you just collapse and just start to lose cohesion, and just the game completely spirals in favor of the one with the better combined arms. And by now, it's like 3,000 points or so more on the battlefield here for Sneaky. Like, it's massive, and Sneaky can just basically A-click towards Alpha. They don't do that because they don't need to. They are on a +2 already. But they could just end the game here by A-clicking into the corner, and there would be little Zio could do about it. They couldn't even handle the helicopters. Really, they can't handle the air. and they couldn't handle the M1 IPs either. And yeah, they tried to get some forces in here again, but they're just way too far behind here. Totu will get involved against the MX-30 here. MX-13 trying to come in as well. Zio here with the one last final push, but MX-13 immediately goes down. The Roland 2s are not fantastic against the Apaches either, as they only have 2 missiles. They have mediocre range, so one of them won't stop the Apache waves, and even 3 of them will struggle somewhat with more and more helicopters coming around. MX-13 under fire here by the ATGM, goes down immediately. Second one does disengage, Alouette goes down. The Eagles pushed back, but so is the Mirage. And yeah, just a lot of kills here. Roland 2 getting involved against the Blackhawk. But the Apaches here coming along already, killing AMX-10Ps, killing off chasseurs. The kill feed is completely full with red units, and there we go. Zio tapping out. It's a 1-1. And yeah, it's a 2-1 KD here. Sneaky just able to completely snowball this game once Zio lost the first big engagement, the first big grind, and then decided to still feed into the fight constantly instead of taking a breather, setting up the artillery, and setting up the AMX-30 ball again. They just continuously like trip feeded the units in every single minute, and that just loses you the game pretty hard like this.
Yeah, it's AMX-10s are not an instant win, instant win unit anymore. Maybe if Zio had put up less infantry and more mech, done like a full-on mechanized attack, not even trying to contest the southern area, which was kind of wonky, sending tanks out there, but instead going on full-on mech all-in up north, as we've seen some players do. This could have maybe overpowered the M1 IP early on and started the snowball for Zio. But what is past is in the past. And I believe we will now be getting into the decider match.
Yeah, decider match coming up. And this time around I will change the setting, which always changed it back when I switched to the old version. Yeah, we haven't constantly spammed there. Yeah, and here we go into game number 3, guys. Short break, and we're gonna be back with that one. And here we go. Final game. As we have a pretty interesting matchup again. As Div3&4 is back on the battlefield. And Sneaky left it open once more. Didn't ban it. And stays with the UK divisions against it. But going from 2nd UK to 4th UK Armored. And that's a pretty interesting pick. We're gonna go over why that is in a second. But before we do that, quick jump here to the Matcherino page, guys, where you can assist funding this whole tournament. As you can just help out clicking the link in the chat and then clicking the claim code button here on the top right and adding 25 cents to the tournament prize pool completely for free. And if you did it with the previous code, you can do it again. This is the second code already. Adam here and Christopher coming in today as well already, adding another 50 cents completely for free, which will be paid out to some of the players here. This is real monetary bonus to the players here for playing well, and the Division 3 players might profit from it as well. If we get another $75, if we make it to $400, the next stretch goal will be reached, adding a $20 prize pool for the Division 3 winner as well. So if you want to support these guys here, consider just going in, clicking the claim code button. If you want to support the channel, consider leaving a follow, leaving a subscription on YouTube, and leaving a like down below on YouTube especially as well. That helps out a lot with the algorithm. And if you want to support me monetarily, a Twitch subscription or channel membership on YouTube go a long way there as well, being worth a lot of views and yeah, just boosting your worth as a channel supporter by the factor of 1,000 basically, and that would be amazing as well. As we have Sneaky here on the left side now with the 4th UK, and as you can see, with a lot of mech, and I believe this strategy is pretty decent and sound. And what do you think about the 4th UK pick here?
Yeah, so I figured that Zio got the first pick and that the 4th UK was a very smart counter pick against the Div Mob. 4th UK being a lower tech tank div, but with a better infantry and with a lot of numbers, which still would completely, of course, like beat the Div Mob's 1950s equipment. But according to Sneaky in chat, this was a 4th UK pick countered by Div Mob. And I think that is kind of explained by the massive mech attack that we're going to see. We're going to see a double wave, basically. We're going to see a lot of investment up to alpha. Okay, there is this line, if you look at the unit positionings, there is this tree line between those two groups of buildings. And if you just have enough stuff out there, you can basically eliminate and secure this alpha area quite easily. If you can keep that fire support there with your quite decent infantry, the motorized scouts, especially with the Carl Gustav, you can move into the southeast corner of alpha, and if you can impose fire control there, you can cut off reinforcements or just threaten reinforcements that the enemy would have on echo, thus basically gaining you most of the toe. And Div Mob here is not doing anything specific. This looks scarily like Zio is playing kind of standard with the also sending most of the mechanized units up north. But here's where I think the problem's going to lie. The SDRA 8s, they don't have any AT weapons. They sold them all to the Portuguese mafia. And so when the SDRA 8s go out there and they start meeting these Saxons or even the Centurion AVREs, they're just going to be dead meat. There's not going to be that much infantry fighting for the SDRA 8s to be value. The scimitars are not going to be good enough to fight against the vehicles. And by the time the M41s get in there, they're also going to be completely inferior to the Centurions. So it kind of seems this might look like it's like a spam or whatever kind of opener. I think Sneaky is kind of smartly playing to the strengths of 4th UK in the way that Zio may not kind of be prepared, because who is prepared to play against 4th UK? Nobody plays 4th UK because it's a mediocre division. But maybe in this matchup and this map could be overpowering.
Ural's coming around. 4th UK has been played quite a bit by some of the other top level players like Lathens and like a Wooden Box. They have figured it out as well. They made it work. The division got a couple of nice little buffs over the last couple of patches, and yeah, the mech waves can be quite strong. The Centurion AVRE combo here with some Chieftain Mark 6s. The Chieftain Mark 6s just outclasses the M47s and M41s by a hell of a lot. The M41's basically dealing no damage there, and it is not that much more expensive compared to most other divisions tanks that you can use. And the AVRE is on a similar level, better armor, slightly lower pen than the M41, and better armor and a decent bit lower pen than the M47. But you get a lot of those mech units as well, and yeah, there are no strikers or so here to deal with this with ATGM vaults. There are a couple of Milan 2s, and there's the Unimog with the Milan 1 on top of it, which is a pretty capable ATGM vehicle here as well. But yeah, motorized scouts here under fire, Phantom moving around. We have the Alouette scouting every reinforcement in itself. That's a really fantastic spot there for Zio. And we have more light vehicles coming around onto the battlefield, but the motorized scouts, they went down, but now the big Chieftain block here and Centurion block has arrived, and they will ask for blood here. They will set up the pressure, and it's going to be tough to stop this with M41s and M47s alone.
Yeah, there are two kinds of Centurion AVREs here. There are the AVRE 105s, which are basically standard Centurions, and then there are the AVRE Rollmores, which have the more the snub nose cannon, basically the HE targeting cannon here. And right now the M41s are engaging this and are getting some first shots into their defensive advantage. But just the numbers here and the fact that the SDRA-8 cannot show itself, otherwise it gets tagged down by the AVRE Rollmores. And with reinforcements coming in here, Zio is getting a squadron of tanks into the middle, and meanwhile Sneaky is winning the air fight, which is quite crucial here because there's barely any ground AA coming in for the Belgians, even though they can buy the Eyehawk. Now, a bunch of Milan carriers is going to set themselves up on the plateau, trying to cover the flank of Zio's forces right now. But Sneaky is pushing up and is not going to give them the time to actually get in positions. Meanwhile, Sneaky is buying a bunch of supply and a bunch of the good tanks. The bad tanks in this matchup, overpoweringly good, the Chieftain Mark 6.
Yeah. Chieftain Mark 6, really cost-efficient powerhouse. It has a good HE gun, it has decent pen, it only costs 100 points. 12 frontal armor means it doesn't get one-shotted by a TOW 2, and does receive no instant blow-up from any unit really out there, outside of the high-end planes. And Sultan's coming around. The south is going pretty terrible for Sneaky. Zio actually moving in there, getting the mod rifles killed, but not much to gain there for Zio right now. Zio needs to recover the position in the north, and the M41's just driving in there a bit too mindlessly. Zio not taking the matchup seriously, it feels like just believing, maybe being a bit too high on the div mob is completely busted train, and just not quite realizing what kind of counterplay 4th UK can deliver. Like, sure, against a lot of the meta divisions, div mob might be the better division, but in this matchup itself, I feel like 4th UK has something to offer here, and I think Sneaky is playing it quite nicely so far. Mirage cluster went down as well, and Zio is in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, the Mirage didn't even drop its bombs before it got caught by the American fighter, the British fighter. Now, a Milan 2 up in the sideways here, as well as a Centurion, so Zio is still whittling away at this blob, so this engagement could be going way worse for Zio as well, but having lost the southern zone of the Echo Zone, the south of the plateau, and having no infantry to push this up, the tanks coming in there just don't really seem like they're gonna be a good choice. There's okay, well, reserve paracommandos are going out there now, but it's gonna take a little bit of time. And Chieftain actually going up the road here, and it's gonna be able to maybe ambush these AMX-13 Milan launchers, as well as the Milan 2.
Good situation now from Sier again. The stress recovery of Sneaky's side was maybe not taken seriously enough, so that these M41s with the flank actually able to do a good amount of damage. But the Chieftains still coming around now in numbers. The M41s with the high rate of fire actually overwhelming the Chieftains and Centurions there, with some side shot potential there as well. Getting a good couple first shots in there. Even without a lot of recon, the Scimitar, the only recon there standing for Sier. Sier once more playing a really low recon kind of game, and I'm not liking that part, but it might still work out after all. Chieftain here in the middle gets a good first hit against the M47, but disengages afterwards as there's more M47s behind it. Gets to engage the M41s in the north as well. Has to be careful though with side shots, as it was showing side armor there. Luckily for it, the M41's pretty low cohesion. Get pushed back. We see the M47s now pushing forward again, but Chieftain on the flag gets the Unimog. And the M47s here in a pretty interesting spot as well. First one gets routed. M41s under heavy fire in the north. One Chieftain goes down. Second Chieftain not able to get the hit here either. Another Chieftain going down in the north to some Milan fire. Sneaky has to be careful here. Gets the paras. But Div Mob cost efficiency here might just do it once more. The Korean War division putting up the pressure here once more. MX-13s starting to go down, but get another Chieftain with themselves. More Chieftains on the way. More Lynx Hellarms on the way. Let's see if they can do better this time around. Last time around, I think they were the reason in their use case why Sneaky did lose game number 1 the way he did. But this time around, no way on the other side, outside of one MAN, one MIN with the triple 20 mil. So I think the Lynx Hellarms really can put some effort here.
Yeah, the 20 mils and the fact that the air control so far has been for the British. Now we see 2 Phantom F3s coming in here, likely to impose that air control once again. So Sier is gonna have to deal with this by building up some Eyehawks. And Sier currently has a lot more pressing concerns, such as the fact that South has completely fallen over, and motorized rifles are going to be controlling the reinforcement routes of Charlie in a moment. Even if the tanks here can, the reinforcement tanks, the M47s can get into Charlie on time, they're going to be taking bad engagements, and they're not going to be as good as if there were cheap infantry kind of already waiting.
Yeah, M47s here now got a gun down, seeking helicopters going down there in the north as well, being misplaced there by Sier completely. As the Hellarm finally, the first one, will get gunned down as well, but they did do a decent amount of work, and we have a nice counter push here in the south from Sneaky, just investing enough to allow a counter push there, realizing that Sier had nothing there. Sier with just the next blob in the middle, but yeah, Sier just playing a bit too mindlessly here now. Just too many M47s and the AA here just going down the middle road. Kind of trying to play too simplistic. Just being like, oh yeah, this division is OP in this form, but it has found a division that can go somewhat toe-to-toe with the mechanized forces, and just has the mod rifles infantry in the right spots here, which have a decent Carl Gustav AT, which can set up nice positions here. Carl Gustav missing twice there. That's unfortunate. Gun groups getting involved. The Milan's not far enough back to really protect themselves. And nothing hits on either side here. Yes, both sides getting stunned down, but the M47s actually will win this engagement once more. +4 with the capture of the northern point though. And the units there being plopped, being all bought to get individually without a real combined arms. And the recon here, the chieftains just starting to take it all apart. AA pieces get gunned down so that the hell arms could come around maybe again. And yeah, it's another 10 light tanks, another Iltis, but I'm not liking the playstyle here right now for Zio in this matchup. It's too simplistic, too easy to figure out, and now the Reservist division issue comes in. Now you would need a combined arms, and the mid-tier division just has the better higher-end combined arms and will just kind of win based on that. The cluster Mirage will go down, kills 2 chieftains, but that's not worthwhile. And the Chieftain Mark 6's Lynx Hell Arm pressure here keeps on coming.
Yeah, the Zio has had some very inefficient buys, and another wave of M47s here, as you've said. I think like if you had just like 2/3 of the M47s and M41s and had extra infantry recon, maybe an Eyehawk on the ground and some Provincial to actually push this, then not to mention, of course, holding the southern flank here, so to prevent the enemy from digging into Charlie. I think Zio could have actually had a chance here. I was thinking that Sneaky's hard counter of the chieftains would basically easily beat the mass tank, but the numbers for Zio did end up being like pretty solid, and the Milan 2 positioning, for instance, for Zio managed to trade away a lot of those early armored attack tanks. But now that both players have transitioned into playing like pretty standard, or transitioned like 10 minutes ago, ever since, Zio has been desperately trying to grasp back the opener tempo that he never gained, and the winning the north here was not really worthwhile doing it inefficiently, because those inefficiencies are paid by not having units guard your flanks.
Yeah, Chieftain Mark 6 here getting involved against the Paracommando. Lynx Alarms actually get shut down by the F-16 once more, but we have now Foxes in the rear. And yeah, I think Zio got a bit too high on the Div Mob is unbeatable myth, and just kind of stopped considering actually playing quality WARNO, and just pressed the button, and nope, even OP divisions can't just do that, and especially not when the enemy has an actual plan, and absolutely Sneaky had a good plan here on to how to deal with it. The Div Mob strength still carries it decently deep in here, but it's nowhere near enough here right now. Like, the blue unit's still dying in some pieces, but the M47 here, they will get stuck. We have enough chieftains around. We have a gun group with the Milans here constantly setting up trap fires. Sneaky has to be careful to not feed into the blob right now. A couple too many units here dying for my liking here, just kind of needlessly, just driving into these blobs. Like, you know where the 2 blobs are. You don't need to actually engage them until they come into a bad spot again. Like, you have the space, you have the victory points, you don't need to go actually fight them. They have to come to you, and Sneaky currently tries to fight them, and I don't get why. Losing a chieftain here needlessly. Yeah. That is a bit weird here right now. That is for sure a mistake. Maybe over appreciating their own situation here. And that's, I think, why so many people also lose to Div Mob, that they just try to trade, and you can't trade against Div Mob like that. Like, eventually the M47s will kill your unit, and then even if you kill 3 units, you still are even or behind in trades. You actually need to outposition them and, like, kind of isolate the division, which is not easy. As I said, it is really, really strong right now, but trying to go pound for pound is a mistake, and I don't think he did that mistake earlier, but now he does it again, and it's actually looking like Zio might have a bit of a comeback here, as yeah, the M47s just got fed units here for the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, the motor rifles in the front line here being a good example of what you should do, which is having the motor rifles there, and the M47s were all so tightly packed together that a single shot from the Carl Gustav stunned or de-cohesioned three of them. And now this engagement where the M47s, the patterns are firing, all the patterns are on low cohesion. Even when some of them have already gained a bunch of levels due to killing so many units. The Lynx Hell Arm here, this is the AH-1, so this has only a standard tow missile. So very efficient counter, exactly the sort of stuff you should be playing if you're playing against reserve divisions. So and the motorized rifle reinforcements here. The mod rifles, the Carl Gustavs, are the perfect weapon against this in many ways. They have good ranges, and the motorized rifles deploy fast, and motorized rifle squad is slightly cheaper than a single M47. So if they just trade 2-1 against the enemy tanks in the attack, the infantry will be able to slowly start gaining ground. And now we're even seeing an infantry flank attack happening here, interestingly.
So the Jagdpanzers, they're dealing a decent amount, killing one in transport, and the Chieftain Mark 6s and Mark 9s are not in the south here right now. The M47s actually gaining some traction again. We haven't seen any of the bombers coming around for Sneaky, which I find somewhat interesting as well. I expected some phantom bombers coming around, and yeah, the Chieftain ball has just disappeared. Like, I thought the plan was just to build up a Chieftain ball that just can evaporate the M47 balls eventually, but he fed some individual Chieftains again into the 5 M47 blobs constantly throughout the game. He is only 40 seconds away from victory, and he got the Iltis killed in the south, and that might still be enough, but Zio actually somehow grinding back into KD. Still needs to kill the Sultan in the north though, and only 30 seconds. Only a plane could do that right now, and there is no plane on the battlefield. There is a Phantom with 0 missiles here on the other side, but Zio not buying a plane there is a mistake, and with that, I think the 25 minutes will just tick down, with Sneaky still getting the victory, but actually Div Mob here is on the way getting it back here, as Sneaky did just do a really good early game and then kind of threw it in the bin again, feeding into Zio's pretty mindless playstyle here this time around. Like, the first Div Mob game was a lot higher quality out of Zio than this one, and he rightfully got punished here, having the KD in the end again, but Sneaky getting the 2-1 victory.
Yeah, I would say that just a little bit less reliance on the M47s and M41s early on. I think Zio could have gotten himself into a way more solid front line, especially the loss of the of all air defense, leading to not that much air spam, but just not having anything out there gave the British helicopters and aircraft the sort of liberty that prevents you from using many of your like important tempo units, such as your bombers. And we saw a single cluster plane getting bought and shot down for the Belgians. And also, just like, even though there were some of the reservist paracommandos, which is a very good unit, and with an even better infantry transport, the paramog, just like a few infantry squads, just a few provincial holding the lines, acting in the front line as something that reveals the enemy force. You have your 40.12 man infantry squads. You can afford to lose a few guys. Think like a commander here. You send them out there, and the enemy front line reveals itself firing at your infantry, and suddenly you have a tactical advantage for that position, and you could even buy some artillery at some part of the game. So if you just if you just buy like 3 M47s instead of the 5, the balance of power could have easily led to a Zio victory. And I would not say that necessarily had Sneaky played the late game better. I think they were also like I was. They were basically predicting that, well, my combined arms wide front line, surely the tank spam never get this. And then the tank spam did get through.
Yeah, and with that, Sneaky gets into the finals, will play the winner between Trisco and Tata Boy, which we still have to wait for. Will be an interesting semifinal there as well. And we're gonna jump out here for tonight, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. It was a fun one. Thanks once more for the raid earlier. Thanks for the gifted sub, Sneaky. Thanks to all the new followers. And yeah, thanks for all being around here. The season 4 is good action again. We're all looking forward to Southpack, but until then, Division 4 is season 4 here is delivering, and I'm looking forward to see season 5 of all the new fancy divisions. And yeah, we're gonna rate over to some Europa Universalis 4 over here, with some Brandenburg going on, and that's gonna be interesting. Let's see with some Paradox action, and see you all next time, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.